Coach Helen for YouFit Studio, right? So it's a 3-part this week, as I said, about limiting beliefs, what it means, what happens, what this particular limiting belief is. So let me refresh, for those who were with yesterday, the definition of a limiting belief. So a limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction or belief that you think to be true, so you think it's true, that limits you in some way. This limiting belief could be about you, your interactions with other people, or with the world and how it works. Limiting beliefs can have a number of negative effects, right? So there's quite a few points there in the one definition. It's not quite straightforward, is it? Quite a few in there. Some bits I picked out yesterday was that you believe to be true that limits you, interacts with your environment, which is what we did yesterday. So yesterday, just in case you're interested, the limiting belief yesterday was, if I had more willpower, I could stop eating so much junk food. Limiting belief. Hey, Kate. Limiting belief today, okay, so this is today's limiting belief. So I've gone over the definition. So Kate, I just went over the definition, same as yesterday. A limiting belief is a state of mind, conviction, or belief that you think to be true that limits you in some way. This limiting belief, insert limiting belief, could be about you, your interactions with other people, or with the world and how it works. Limiting beliefs can have a number of negative effects, right? So today's limiting belief, drum roll, I've heard this one a lot. I hardly eat anything. I've underlined that. So I hardly eat anything, and I still can't lose weight. Right, limiting belief. I still, I won't say it again. I hardly, even, to shout the wrong word, I hardly eat anything, and I still can't lose weight. Interesting one, right? I wonder how I might have said that before. So, when someone is in, if you have this limiting belief, right? If you have this limiting belief that you're doing everything that you can, everything that you can to lose weight, and you're not getting the result, it can be super frustrating, confusing, and actually counterproductive, because it can have a negative effect, which is you believe whatever you do isn't going to work, because whatever you do, whatever you eat, you cannot lose weight, and therefore your limiting belief is there's something mechanically wrong with you somewhere, or a bit like yesterday, genetically born with willpower, not that genetically you're born with the inability to lose weight, and that can impact mood and everything else, right? So ultimately it becomes self-fulfilling, because somebody doesn't lose weight, or you don't lose weight because your limiting belief is that you can't, whatever you eat, however you eat, you cannot, I can't lose weight. I hardly eat anything. I'm eating air and water and I still can't lose weight, right? That's a limiting belief. So it can be super frustrating and annoying. Now, if you happen to, or if any client I come across, which this does happen quite a fair bit actually, if you come across somebody who believes this, there's kind of some principles that have to come into play, which is actually that nobody is kind of above or genetically apart from energy balance, right? I did live on energy balance. If you want to find out about it, have a look at it. Essentially, the principle is, if you eat too many calories to what you're burning, you'll gain weight, and if you're eating less calories than you're burning, then you will lose weight, right? Energy balance, right? That is oversimplifying it by a ton, by the way. I get that. However, principally, nobody's above this, right? So it's not that you're not eating anything, it's what you're eating right at the right time, okay? So some of the things to think about this, and I'm doing this with 4 clients currently, which is astounding me again. I've just lucky guessed this, because again, these lives were planned some time ago. So this was really planned in, and just having this kind of conversation quite a few times over last week, and these clients probably watch this and think, oh, she's done this live because of me. I'm like, no, actually it was planned a while ago. It's quite interesting though, right? So the thing is, if you're one of these people, it's like, it doesn't matter what I eat or what I do, I can't lose weight, is one thing that you become, and I'm going to probably deviate off my plan now, considering the conversation I had last week, to be fair. What an interesting thing to do is to actually track everything. Now, some people say, well, I already do that. I track everything. And I'll challenge some people sometimes, well, do you though? If you're not losing weight, are you really tracking everything? You're telling me you're training 4 times a week, you're doing 15,000 steps a day. and you're not losing weight. So are you? Are you fully conscious of everything? Now, lots of people imagine we get quite defensive, like, no, I am. I'm doing everything you're telling me to do. I'm doing it all, you know. And part of it is that consciously they think, well, I'm not sat there eating biscuits or cake all day long. I'm all my meals are great. What becomes interesting is that they're eating well. Are they tracking everything, right? Because the limiting belief is I hardly eat anything. You're eating something. You're not fully conscious of it. Now, one of the great things and great questions, it's everything that passes your lips. One of the really effective questions to ask somebody, and also to ask yourself, if you're ever like thinking, what's Helen saying here? And Sam's used this question over the years as well. If you had, right, a film crew following you, what would that film crew pick up on that you're not seeing? Right? So if you had somebody following you with a camera, what do you think would be filmed that you're not seeing and I'm not seeing right now? Now, sometimes if you give someone enough time to think and actually picture it and imagine it, sometimes it's a fascinating question to ask, because actually, and even to yourself, because actually there's kind of like literally sometimes a penny drop moment. Because you say something, right, so what about the kids' plates? What about when you're cooking? Are you eating when you cook? Are you snacking? There's commonality with snacking and cooking. Why? Because somebody's hungry before the evening meal, like really hungry. So either they're cooking and tasting the evening meal as they're having it unconsciously, like, oh, I'm just tasting to make sure it's all right. Don't have quite a lot of tastes. Or I'm just absently-mindedly snacking on something while I'm cooking and not conscious it's happened, right? So whenever somebody says, I'm tracking everything, the question is, are you? Because if you're eating something that isn't working for the energy balance for you, okay? Now, I love these points, considering I did these points about 3 weeks ago, and I've had these conversations now, honest to God. So the point I made was act like an investigator. So, and I've used that quite a lot as well. So I said, Miss Marple, if you are really going to be looking at every detail of what you're doing, actually, that means, are you actually looking at every single thing, right? Be your own investigator. If you are not losing weight, right? If you're not losing weight and you're doing everything, right? Investigate your own behaviors, right? Miss Marple it out, because something isn't adding up. If you are being active, you are using your coach to keep you accountable, and you're not losing weight, it always comes down to nutrition and your awareness of it. So it's conscious or unconscious to some degree, admittedly, and it's the unconscious stuff that really catches you out. So look, get this stat. This stat is so true. Get this. On average, right? So this isn't the total. This is on average. People underestimate food intake by around 47%. My favourite question is asking somebody to guess how many calories are in something, for example, sometimes. Or, like, chicken wings is always given. How many calories in a portion of chicken wings? About 300. Try 1,000, right? The thing is, though, we have a tendency to underestimate. That's quite a large amount. If that's the average, that means that there's some people out there going like 50, 55, 60%, right? Underestimating. So when you're thinking about the nibbles, or what I've had is recently, it's just, I had it because I thought in my head, it's just, and that's true. Like, this is the funniest thing about a conscious eating, when you believe you're doing everything, not losing weight, is that fundamentally a lot of the extra calories are going in are in bunny ears, quote unquote, healthy food, right? It's not going in, like I said, in chocolate bars and cookies. The thing is that it's happened frequently enough, and all this food does have a calorie content, by the way, whether or not it's you know, something like on the vegetable scale or in a plastic wrapper, right? Everything has calories, right? So the thing is, it's just a couple of times a day comes into 14 times a week. Condense all those calories or all those things, and then suddenly, and then add in, you know, a few treats in there, which is perfectly cool, right? But add those into the mix with it's just a little of, then you're starting to see where somebody might be completely oblivious to the energy balance and actually completely believe, right? They're limiting themselves into believing they are truly not eating anything in their head and not losing weight, right? I'm just literally eating vegetables every meal and I'm not losing weight. Okay, so some of these things you've got to ask yourself with those questions, actually challenge yourself, right? Lots of things are deceptive, right? Lots of things are deceptive. And by that I mean sometimes we consciously trick ourselves as well. So you've got the unconscious side, where it's just like a little bit here and there. And then you've got the conscious side, which is, whether it's a conscious mind blank or not, when a client says usually to me, I just had a couple of crisps, I'm usually going to ask how many. If this is a couple, definition would be 2, right? A few, maybe a grab hand. It's open to interpretation, because the difference between a couple of crisps, literally, and a handful is different. But what if it wasn't a handful? What if it was 2, but consciously we only think about the 1? Right? And then add in all the other bits, the unconscious calories going in as well. And the splurges. Now we've got little different levels of things going on. It's completely oblivious, and still you're believing, there's a limiting belief that you're doing everything and anything to keep calories down and keep food healthy and to help you lose weight, and yet it's not happening. How is that possible? Well, all these things going on at the same time. For some people, not everybody. Okay, so this is why often when it comes to nutrition, it's good to have a guardrail or a safety or some kind of gauge. Yes, right, if you work with us at UFit, you know how we use the palm portions individually to you, right? Some clients will use an app or some way of tracking their calories. Yes. Yeah. Okay, that works. But the palm portions are there as a guardrail for a reason, to keep you accountable to that and to make that a filling meal, so that you know that your main meals are covered. You can focus on the stuff in between meals that's unconscious, right? Now, there's lots of things you can do in terms of, and granted, if your clients, you understand a lot of this and you know this, we're experimenting, like eating slowly for a month, for example, or changing your calorie intake. Actually, is if you truly are doing everything and anything and eating everything and anything to get your weight down, let's just actually focus on the details of one meal alone. Like literally, really look at it, because the thing is that ultimately, like I said, it can lead to frustration. The frustrated feeling, right? Feeling of I'm doing everything that's not working leads to, and I've talked about this, so thoughts lead to emotions, emotions lead to behaviors. So the feeling of frustration will lead to habits which actually then fully consciously derail this, which is, well, if it doesn't work, what's the point? So I might as well have the extra chocolate, the extra biscuits, the extra crisps. I will consciously have another handful, even though I'm only having a couple, because it doesn't, whatever I do doesn't work anyway. So again, in consideration of everything I just discussed, let's go back to the initial, right? Again, the initial definition. A limiting belief is a state, I'm going to focus on that, a state of mind, right? Usually created by an emotion, a state of mind, conviction or belief that you think to be true, that limits you in some way, right? So fully believing you're doing everything, because this is another one. Okay, let's off the point of that, because this is a statement, a limiting belief. I hardly eat anything and I still can't lose weight. When a client says to me, I've done everything there is and I can't lose weight, everything. Right. Everything? Yeah, I've done everything. How many things have you done? 3. Is that everything? No, it's not. So again, it's a bit like yesterday when we talked about what you believe to be a fact. You believe it to be true, so you create it into a fact. It's factually correct that I hardly eat anything. It's factually correct. What was it yesterday? It's factually correct that I don't have any willpower, or if I had willpower, I wouldn't behave in a certain way, right? So you create I hardly eat anything into a fact, into some, you know, by the time it comes into your actions and behaviors and habits, it's a warped belief that you're literally eating nothing, next to nothing, and can't lose weight, because physically, somehow biologically, you're different to somebody who knows their energy balance and loses weight. That there's something physically and biologically different about you. When you're no different, It's actually how you're thinking about it, and you're limiting yourself without looking outside in more detail at your own behaviours and really owning it to some degree. If it's conscious, owning it. If it's unconscious, and I think we can all probably look at that and go, right, okay, again, go back into be your own investigator, be your own Miss Marple. Really uncover the secrets of your own food behaviour, because who is best to do that? Me? From literally, figuratively, a different space now on a 2D electronic device, or yeah, so we're looking through the letterbox while you eat, or I'm just getting parked outside your kitchen window. Shouldn't give myself ideas. However, who is the best person to do it? It's you. You are your best and worst investigator sometimes. You can uncover the truth, or you could choose to hide it, right? So that's limiting belief number 2. I'm going to recap it before I go on to just give you a sneak peek of tomorrow's, right? So the limiting belief was I hardly eat anything. I'm just eating air or water right now. Just nothing. Not eating anything. Nothing. Anything. Nothing. And I still can't lose weight. There is something wrong with me. I'm eating nothing. I'm just hardly eating anything. I can't lose weight. I've only had like 50 calories a day. I'm not losing weight. Okay? So if you have this perception, right, the first thing to understand, I made the point in the beginning, is you are no biologically different than the person next to you who is losing weight, right? You're not above the energy balance in any way in terms of energy in, energy out. So exercising and activity and eating food, right, to fuel that, and how much you're eating fuel-wise or food-wise that is either going to be too much, so you'll gain weight, to how much you're exercising, or just enough for you to lose weight, right? So you haven't got the energy balance right yet, right? Doesn't mean you're not eating anything. It means you are over consuming somewhere in excess energy, i.e. calories. So somewhere you're overeating. Now, I said, yeah, can be unconscious, right? So if I was to follow you with a film crew, what would I see that we can't see right now? If I asked you to actually log or investigate every single thing that passes your lips for 7 days, would it be not eating anything? Or would we discover there's more going in that's touching your lips, either, and this goes for drinks as well, right? Drinks and food, somewhere that you're not seeing as calories that are contributing to your energy balance not working for you. All right. Again, I'm going to repeat the fact, on average, only average people, we underestimate food at 47%. Right? The mindless nibbles are not memorable. What have I got to say? 47%. 47% underestimating on average, right? If we're not tracking it. So the guardrails are there for a reason. It's not just portions, it's about understanding perception of things, right? Like I said, a couple of crisps, a couple of bags, a couple of handfuls, a couple of grab bags. What is a couple of crisps, right? That again is open to interpretation if you're not really facing the details. Conscious then, more than unconscious, like I said. So use your guardrails, right? Use your pump portions, use whatever your coach set you up on. Experiment if you need to, right? Like I said, be your own investigator, really own your unconscious plus conscious eating, plus your treats on top, right? All of it, all those 3 levels going at the same time. Take one if you need to, if you think it's all 3. Or just take the one and go, actually, that sounds like something I might be doing if this isn't working for me. So I need to keep myself accountable. Or you need a coach to keep you accountable, right? At the end of the day. So tomorrow's limiting belief. I like reading these out in advance to make it feel good. I love this one. This one is going to lead on nicely. Ready for this bad boy. I seriously, so not for fun, I seriously can't handle being hungry. Needs the emphasis in between because you're hungry. I seriously can't handle being hungry. Think on that one tomorrow, where you probably get hungry. And then tomorrow I'm going to go over why it is a limiting belief, and how to think of it differently and get past hunger if you know it's something that you seriously can't handle. And that'll be tomorrow at 5 o'clock. So in the meantime, have a fantastic evening and I'll catch you tomorrow.